If you don't have a handout or you forgot your handout at home, it is available on Moodle as a PDF. Look for handout 1. I will ask later who still needs a copy of the paper handout, and I will give that to you next week. So today we're talking about verbs, and the first thing we should cover is tenses and aspects. In Chinese, 时态. But these are two different things. Tense, 时, aspect, 态. They are two different ideas. Please do not confuse them. English has 3 tenses. Guess? Past, present, future. 过去, 现在, 未来. These are about the entire situation of when you're using language. So if two people were talking in the past, then all of your verbs would be some form of past. If you are discussing something that is probably going to happen in the future or is planned to happen in the future, then all of your verbs will be some version of future tense. So the tense usually does not change in the middle of your situation. One good example is if you read stories in English. English likes to put stories in the past. So if you read a short story or a novel, the general situation will be some form of past tense. That particular use is called the historical past or the narrative past. 叙述用的过去式. It has little to do with compared to your present time. It's just the time that English likes to use for storytelling. Aspects, 态, are about the relationship between sentences. When you say one thing, what is the relationship with another thing that you are going to say or that you have already said? 是句子跟句子之间的关系，那个才是态。So usually I divide this unit into 2 weeks, but because we have a very busy Friday schedule, we're doing all 3 times 4, 12 tenses and aspects today. So let's begin with simple. Right, simple. Can somebody give me a verb? 丢个动词给我. I hate coming up with examples. Jog, thank you. I'm going to use a slightly different definition of jog. Jog meaning stimulate, remind. So simple past. Somebody give me a noun. 给我一个名词. Sorry? The blackboard. Okay. The words on the blackboard jogged my memory. In this case, it means when I saw something on the blackboard, it reminded me of something else. Now, simple present, remember, is usually not the present. In English, we use simple present to mean something like frequency. So for the simple present, you're going to see something like the words on the blackboard always jog my memory. So in this case, every time you see something on the blackboard, it reminds you of something else. Or maybe the frequency can change. The words on the blackboard sometimes jog my memory, which means this is not a good situation, right? If the teacher is using the blackboard to help remind you of something, but it only works sometimes, then you need to study harder. And of course, you can change the frequency word to any other word. So simple present in English is not the present. It is a frequency, 是一种频率. You have to use something other than simple aspect. And we will talk about that soon later today. Finally, we have the future. The words on the blackboard will jog my memory. Now, nobody knows the future. Even the people on TV telling you to buy a stock or sell a stock don't know the future. We can only predict. So in English, every time you use a future tense, remember it is always just a good guess. Now, English has two forms of simple future, right? You can use will. You can also use be going to. These two are not exactly the same. Be going to is a neutral prediction. Will is a subjective prediction. You are determined to make this happen. Yes. Yes. So as it says here, I'm using the word jog as stimulate or remind. Otherwise, if you use jog as run, I can't talk about objects. So if I say I'm going to have lunch, sorry, if I say I'm going to arrive on time tomorrow, that means I predict based on all of the factors that I'm probably going to arrive on time tomorrow. But if I say I will arrive on time tomorrow, that means no matter what happens, come hell or high water, nothing can stop me. I'm going to get here on time. Okay? And if you have trouble remembering this, think about the noun will as meaning determination, 意志, and that will help you remember. So in the past, English had another word for the future, shall. The correct use of the word shall is very interesting history. So in its earliest form before modern English, shall is a kind of order. It is an imparting of intention to another person. So it's an order, 是一种命令，是一种意志的转移. So the earliest word form of shall is always when somebody wants somebody else to do something. So if you wanted to use a neutral future, then the correct forms were first person shall and second, third persons are will. Right? So these two are neutral future. But if you flip them, if you say, as my earlier example, we will, or if you say you or third person shall, these are subjective. So I will is determination, you shall, he shall, she shall is an order. But today we really don't see the word shall too much. We only see it in this sense, in this meaning, in the word should. right? So if I say you should arrive on time, I'm not, this is not a neutral sentence, right? I'm telling you this is something you must do. It's an order. Should is, in fact, the past tense of shall. What does that mean? The past tense of a future tense. We're going to talk about that a little bit later. But because English future has another word, we can make it, we can add a layer of past on top of the future. 英文因为多一个字来表示未来，所以我们说未来式的时候，其实可以在未来上面加一层过去。待会会说明。No, I should say this now. Yeah, it fits now. Okay, let's talk about the future in the past. All right, so we were saying the difference between tense and aspect, right? For a given time in English, the whole conversation, the whole situation is either in the past or the future, or sometimes in the present. The present is less common because in English, the present is only one moment. 真正的现在只是一刹那. So that's not very common. So there is a kind of situation where you're talking about something that happened in the past, but at that moment in the past, you were predicting the future. 整个事情发生在过去，可是在过去的那个当下，你其实在预示未来可能发生什么事，所以是过去上面未来上面加一层过去。So for example, um, a sorry, were you going out last night? And B answers, yes, I thought I would go study in the library. So these two people are talking about something that happened in the past. But A is asking, at that moment in the past, were you planning to go out? And so B's answer is yes, at that moment in the past, I was planning to go to the library. So it's a moment in the past, but at that moment, B was thinking about the future. Does that make sense? That so would is when I say it's the past tense of the future, this is what I mean. Would is the past tense of will, should is the past tense of shall. But again, we don't really see this too much. If you read some older stuff, you might see something like, today we would say, like if A asks, what would you like to drink? And B might say, I would like a coffee. In older days, the proper way to answer is, I should like a coffee. Not because it's an order, but because neutral I uses shall. And should is the past tense of shall. So why is it not shall? Because in English, if you add a layer of distance, in this case from present to past, it makes it more polite. And we will talk about this more in, I think, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. But yes, I'll briefly talk about this now. If I say, will you or can you, this is neutral. If I want to be more polite, I might say, would you? And then the most polite is, well, not most, but even more polite is, could you? And then if you're British and need to be very polite, you might say, might it be possible for you to consider the possibility that? Many, many different layers. The more layers you add, the more polite it is. Okay, so that's simple past, present, and future. Um, let's talk about progressive in Chinese 进行式. This is the one that uses ing. Progressive past. What was our original sentence? No, yeah. Uh, the words on the blackboard were jogging my memory. So the progressive is used mostly when something is currently happening. You're in the middle of it. So the past is, in this case, were jogging. So you're describing a moment where you're looking at the blackboard and it is at that moment reminding you of something. Present, are jogging. So if you want to say something is happening in the present, English usually uses the present progressive. As I said, in English, the logic is the present is a single moment. So if you don't, so in order to talk about the present, you have to extend that moment. 因为英文逻辑里面，现在是一个瞬间，所以如果你真的要讲现在什么事情的话，你必须要把这个瞬间延长，就用进行时。For the future, will be jogging. So the first thing to notice when you start using aspects is you add a new word, right? The verb used to be jog. Now we have added an extra be verb. When using aspects, each new aspect or each new idea is expressed by adding a word to the front. So the formula for progressive is a be verb plus the verb ending in ing. This tells you what the action is, and be plus ing tells you this is the progressive aspect. So the first word in the verb phrase, in this case, the verb phrase has two words, be plus the verb in ing. The first word tells you the tense, past, present, future. The second word tells you the aspect, progressive. This is a very important concept that will help you when sentences get complicated. In every verb phrase, the first word tells you the tense, and the last word tells you the aspect and the action. 概念很重要，我用中文再讲一遍。在每一个动词片语里面，不管你动词片语几个字有多长，第一个字表示时间，最后一个字表示动作跟状态，加起来就是时态。Right, so past progressive uses were, present progressive, same be verb, now it's in the present. Future progressive, same be verb, now it's in the future. And here we come to our first exception. English loves exceptions. English is not a real language. It is pretending to be one language when it's actually 56. That's why there are so many exceptions. English is very complicated because, as we talked about last week, it is not the result of experts sitting down and deciding what should we use. It is the result of history being invading other places, globalization, the internet. It's just a big mess. So there are many exceptions in English. Here's the first one. There is another future tense. And it looks exactly like the present. Let me choose another example to help you understand this. And for that, I need another verb. 再给我一个动词. Drink. Great. Good. I am getting drinks with some friends this weekend. Is this sentence the present or the future? The grammar says present, right? Am. But the logic of this sentence is the future. I'm doing it later, not today. This follows the same grammar as be going to. Where was it? Earlier here. Am going to, right? This says are is the present, but in fact, the idea is the future. So it's possible to use what looks like the present progressive to express something that will happen in the future. You do have to pay attention to what you are saying or what somebody else is saying. And there's a third possible future. I go to the doctor this Friday. I know it's Friday, but Friday works as a better example. I go to the doctor this Friday. It looks like simple present, right? I go. But again, it's not today. It's okay, maybe I do need to change this. Next Monday. So it's not today, it's in the future. Usually, this kind of future is for a future plan. This kind of future is for a future event that happens repeatedly. So maybe this person goes to the doctor every month, and this month they are going next Monday. It's a repeated action. It's the next incident of the repeated action. 是一个重复活动下一次发生的. This is that kind of future. Okay, questions so far? Okay, that was the easy bit. I'll let you digest a little during the break, and then we're going to talk about the perfect and the perfect progressive. Okay, 休息一下. Yeah, I'm gonna 我来调查一下谁需要讲义. Who still needs a handout? 还有谁需要讲义举个手? 1, 2. Okay, I'll give it to you next week. Mm-hmm.
下星期四的班会可以方便让我们进去，让他们填问卷。
哦，可以，没问题。
谢谢。
我班会课20分才开始。
好，谢谢老师。
这个说明的部分应该不会用到整节课，还剩下时间这边。你唯一缺的就是你没有加分的机会。 Okay, where were we? We've just finished the simple and progressive. Now we're going to go on to the perfect. Perfect means finished in Chinese, 完成式. We use the perfect tense when we want to say that something has been finished and it affects something else. If we don't have to say that it affects something else, we would just use the past tense, the simple past. 简单现在简单式跟现在完成式的差别在于，现在完成式是要过去简单式跟现在完成式的差别是，完成式要强调这件事情的完成影响接下来的发展。是下周的，好。So, for example, let's use the present. The words on the blackboard have jogged my memory. The next sentence might be, now I know what I have to do. Or now I understand what the teacher is saying. It affects the next thing. If you're not emphasizing any kind of effect, you can just use the simple past. The words on the blackboard jogged my memory. So, in fact, when we talk about the perfect and later the perfect, when we talk about the perfect aspect, in most cases, this is optional. You can use a simple past or you can use some kind of perfect, and the general meaning of the sentence will be the same. It is just a difference in emphasis. 这个唯一差别就是有没有强调对接下来事情的影响，所以其实本质上是选择性的，你要不要用完成式都可以，大部分时候了。So, you can have perfect past. The words on the blackboard had jogged my memory. Then I knew what I had to do. Knew, right? Past tense. Present, the words on the blackboard have jogged my memory. Now I know what I have to do, present. Or even the future. This is less common, but still is used. The words on the blackboard will have jogged my memory. So I don't have to worry if I can't remember now. In Chinese, 黑板上的文字将会提醒我，所以我现在不用担心记不起来。The perfect aspect always has an effect on the next thing. So far, so good? It's starting to get a bit abstract, 开始有点抽象. So as you can see, the formula for the perfect aspect is the first word gives us the tense, had is past, have is present, will have is future, and the second word gives us the action. So the formula is have plus a verb in its past participle state. When we memorize new English verbs, we have to memorize three kinds, right? We have to memorize the original form, the past tense, simple past, and the past participle. For example, jog. If I introduce this new word, I will say it's a verb. Jog, jogged, jogged. But some words don't follow this pattern. For example, drive, drive, drove, driven. Or some words, for example, prove, prove, proved. The third one is, there are two, proved or proven. So I'm not going to say add ed because it depends on different verbs. Different verbs have a different past participle. The third one that you have to memorize. We will talk about participles when we get to adjectives very late in the semester. 它归属形容词，这学期很晚才会提到。But for the perfect aspect, it is some form of have plus that third kind, the past participle of the verb. And if you're curious, I'm saying past participle, 过去分词. Part, right? 分词. Finally, we have the perfect progressive. This is when you want to emphasize that the action has been going on for some time and is now finished. And the fact that it was going on for some time affects the next thing. So we're putting together the progressive and the perfect. It's going on and it finishes and affects the next thing. 它既持续一段时间，又在结束之后，那个持续的时间影响接下来的句子。So let's look at some examples. The words on the blackboard had been jogging my memory. Okay, you know what? I need a new example. This doesn't work. Can someone give me another verb? 再给我动词。Remember is also a momentary thing. 它也是瞬间的事。Can someone give me an action you have to spend time? Kidnap. I don't think our university president would like me to use that example. Exercise, great. Very positive example. So I had been exercising for 3 hours. And the present of this one would be I have been. And the future would be I will have been. So let's see what these mean. I had been exercising for 3 hours. At that point, I was dead tired. So because it has been going on for 3 hours, by the time I finished, I was extremely tired. So you need both, right? You need the length of time and you need the ending. Only when you put those two together will you reach the next sentence. I was dead tired. I have been exercising for 3 hours. This is the present, right? Which in the past, this means, okay, at that point, you're done. In the present, you might say this while you are still exercising. Like, imagine you're at the gym, you're running on the treadmill, 在跑步机上面, and your friend walks in and says, hey, how long have you been jogging? And you might tell your friend, man, I have been exercising for 3 hours, but you're still going. You haven't stopped yet. So the next sentence might be, I really need a break. Right? So it is, again, the length of time plus the fact that you have reached this moment. So at this moment, because of this length of time, you really feel like you need a break. Third one, I will have been exercising for 3 hours. So imagine, let's say you're yeah, let's say your good friend or boyfriend or girlfriend invites you to go have a midnight snack at around like 9 p.m. And they invite you tomorrow, or let's say it's the morning and they invite you that night. But you look at your schedule and you realize, no, you will be at the gym at that time. So you might tell them, you know, I want to, but I will have been exercising for 3 hours by then. I would really need a shower and a nap. something like that. So because this is your plan, therefore, what you would do next depends on that earlier plan. So you would have to turn down that invitation. You would rather do something else. Does that make sense? Okay, let's see if we can come up with another example. Let's say A says, "Hey, do you want to go studying together this afternoon?" But you have already planned to go study in the morning. So you can't handle even more studying. So I will already have been studying all morning, and my brain won't be able to take it. Well, take any more, I should say. Right. So in this case, because of the fact of your length of studying already, when you reach that moment when A invites you to keep studying, at that moment, you can't take it. So again, we have the length plus reaching that moment affects what you say next or what you want to do next. 所以从这例子又看到，是持续的时间加上抵达那个瞬间的时候，会影响你接下来的决定或是发言。This is when you use the perfect progressive. If you're feeling a little confused, rest assured this is not very common. You probably won't use it much, maybe at most twice a week. Questions so far? So when we look at how the perfect progressive is used, right? Have been exercising. Now we have 3 words. But as we said earlier, the first word tells you the tense. Past, present, future. Or I guess will, future. And the last word tells you the action. The formula for the perfect progressive is have plus be plus, well, not, how do I say this? Be in past participle form plus verb in ing form. The be in past participle is always been, right? So it's called the perfect progressive. Do you remember the formula for the perfect? It is have plus past participle. This is the perfect. Do you remember the formula for the progressive? It is be plus ing. This is the progressive. So when you put them together, this is the perfect progressive. 我用中文讲一遍哦，完成式是 have 加过去分词，所以这个是完成式。进行式是 be 加 ing，所以这个是进行式，加起来就是完成进行式。Okay? All right, so that's most of what I wanted to say today. One last rule to remember. No matter which one you use, the first verb, if your subject is singular and you are talking in the present, always ends with S. One person, simple present, S. One person, present progressive, S. One person, present perfect, S. One person, present perfect progressive, also S. Okay, that's the lecture. Do you have questions before we start doing practice? All right. Don't worry about getting questions wrong. Practice is how we learn. It's also not a test, so you can also talk to your friends and strangers if you don't quite understand. So please turn to page 2. We have 16 questions. Find the mistakes and fix the mistakes. 16 questions, right? I will give you 5 minutes. 三安琪，三安琪在吗？三安琪第三次。王定宇，王定宇。Yes, thank you. Question one. Where's the problem? How would you fix it? Okay, so this is wrong. How do you fix this? I don't. Did you say I don't? Okay, I don't living. Is that right? That doesn't sound right to me. So if we're using progressive, it's a be verb. 一定是某一种 be 动词. So the be verb with I is am, right? So it should be I am not living at home right now. Present tense right now. Okay? Okay, great. Number two, 郑红人在吗? Yes. Number two, where's the mistake? How do you fix it? Okay, this is wrong. Okay, did you say I am living? Good. I am living or I'm living in this city. Number three, 王之云. Where's the mistake? How do you fix it? Okay, is this sentence correct? Is it a complete sentence? Subject, verb? Okay, so where's the verb? 动词是什么? At is not a verb. At is a preposition. 是介系词. So it's missing a verb. Okay, yeah, this is a more confusing question because we don't know what it's trying to say. But look, the first one says I, the second one says I, the fourth one says I, the fifth one says I. I think this probably should start with I. So how should we fix this? I am a student. Good. I am a student at this school. Number four, 叶轩宇. 举个手. Hi, thank you. So yes, be verb plus ing. I am studying English. Good. Number five, 李瑞莹. Where's the mistake? How do you fix it? Good. I do not know, don't know my teacher's name. Look, if you want to, you can say this sentence, I am not knowing my teacher's name, but it means something very different. It means I am intentionally not learning my teacher's name. I am putting myself in the position of not knowing my teacher's name. So it's something like if you're talking to me and I say, I'm not listening, right? So do you know your teacher's name? I am not knowing my teacher's name. But it's not a very common use of language. The more common use is, as you said, I do not know. Number six, 刘玉安. 举个手, where are you? Yes, number six. Someone teaches our English class. Good. This is one person. So this has to end with an S. Teaches. And by the way, you can call me CJ. Number seven. Shamira. Is Shamira here? No? Gabriella. Okay. Yes, adding an S again because she and he are both singular. One person, present tense, add an S, expects. Good. Number 8, pointing. Yes. We are always coming to class on time. Okay, I'll give you that because that is grammatically correct. It is not common. You know what? The only situation I can think of where you would say we are always coming to class on time is as a joke. So, for example, let's say, again, I come here late. I walk in, I see the room is full, and I say, hey, you guys are on time. And somebody jokes back, yeah, we're always coming to class on time. You don't get the joke. Okay. But um, usually the better answer is simple present. If you're talking about frequency, the better answer is we come to class on time. As for moving the always, you can put the always anywhere, but as your classmate noticed, it is better to put it near the main verb. Number 9, Jang. Is Jang here? Jang? No. Ray. Ray? Yes, number 9. Okay, good. Yes. So we have 2 mistakes. First, Tom is, in this case, this is simple present. So this should be go. Now, I mentioned if it's singular present, it has to end with S. The S is here. And then secondly, it's a question. So, okay, you know what? I need to write this down. The original form of this sentence is Tom goes to school, period. So in order to form a question, we have to move the first word of the verb phrase to the front. Problem. This verb phrase only has one word. If we move this to the front, we don't have a verb in the sentence. So we have to add a new verb. And the new verb is do. Do has no meaning here. It just means an action. So intermediate step, add a new verb. The first word in the verb phrase tells you the tense. So this word ends with S because it's the present simple. And then we now have a word we can move to the front. Does Tom go to school? Question mark. So yes, Ray is correct. The answer here is does Tom go to school? There is another possible answer. You could say, is Tom going to school? Does Tom go to school means usually, Monday to Friday, does Tom go to school? Some people don't go to school. Some kids are homeschooled. 叫什么? I forgot the Chinese. What is homeschooled? 自学, yes. So students who are homeschooled, 自学, don't go to school. But if you don't think that Tom is homeschooled, then it doesn't make sense to ask if Tom goes to school. It would make more sense to ask, is Tom going to school today or tomorrow or next Monday? Is that the plan for Tom? Number 11, 黄赢家. Yes. Number 11. Okay, yes, the mistake is here. What should this be? Should be doesn't. Good. My sister is one person. This is the present, so it should end with an S. Doesn't. Number 12. 有有云. 有有云. Oh, yes. Okay. Number 12. Did Sarah has a job? Does that sound right to you? Okay. Yeah, you can change does to did, but that's not the mistake. So we said that the first word in the verb phrase has to end with an S. The first word. How many S's are in this verb phrase? 2. So we need to change one of them. Which one? Good. This should be? Good, yes. We turn it back to its original form, have. The correct answer, does Sarah have a job? Okay? Okay, great. Number 13. Tony. Good. Do you have a job? You is not singular. In English, you could be singular or plural, but we count it as plural. So you do not add the S. Do you have a job? 14, Mason. Mason here? Yes. 14, please. Good. So the original sentence is subject Canada, verb is, location north of the United States. To turn it into a question, we just move the be verb to the front. We don't need to add any of this. So is Canada north of the United States? 15. 刘振凡. Okay, so I never go to my office. Good. We don't need this too. This is not a fancy sentence. It is nothing special. We don't need to add random words, right? So the original sentence is, I go to my office on Saturday. If you change the frequency to never, you just add never. I never go. You don't need the to. The to is extra. And finally, number 16, V. Is V here? V? No? Oh, are you V? Yeah, okay. So here, yes? Good. This is more than one person, so it should not end with an S. Ahmed, Toshi, G, Ingrid, and Pedro eat lunch together every day. Good. Okay, questions about this page? All right, so I'm going to leave the rest for homework. The homework goes all the way to page 9. And then next week, we're going to talk about the passive voice. Remember, the homework is not a test. I will give you the answer. It is a chance for you to practice. Next week, the first thing we're going to do is, if there are answers you do not understand, please ask me and we will talk about them. And then we will introduce the passive voice, and we're going to have to hurry because at 11:20 we have to go down to the sports field for the National Disaster Prevention Drill. Okay, see you next week.